Hi, welcome to Chris Cook for You Too. Today I'm going to be doing smothered cabbage. So let's get started. Here I have 2 cabbages that I'm going to be using for my smothered cabbage dish. This is going to go along as a side dish to the rest of my menu that I'm going to have for today. Now, I've already washed these cabbages, but I took this leaf and I just put it back on here because I wanted to show you something. When you're making this dish, because the outer leaves take a lot longer to cook than the inner leaves, just take the outer leaf off. And I've already given you a recipe online that shows you how to prepare these outer leaves. Don't throw them away because it's a very tasty dish that goes with these outer leaves. Also decor it. So take this part off, cut this part off, and then you can cut out the core if you like to. If you don't, I don't like to cut out my core, so I just leave it in. Now, this is a very easy dish, and this is for really the beginner cook because I'm quite certain that everybody makes a cabbage. But if you don't know a good way to make smothered cabbage, this recipe is for you. To get this prepared, I'm going to use Morton Seasonal, and Morton Seasonal does not carry a high content of salt, so I'm going to use some salt if I need the salt. I will taste it, see if I need the salt, and then I'll add it. I have my all-time stapler, best stapler in the world, which is Lipton onion soup mix, and I pretty much put these in all of my dishes that require a lot of cooking because this adds very, very good flavor to your vegetables, and I normally put it in vegetables. I've chopped up 1 medium onion. I have 4 slices of bacon, but what I did with the bacon is I cut the bacon in half. So now these 4 slices become 8 slices of bacon. And I have some leftover chicken broth. Now, this chicken broth was left over from a dish that I did last week. And I don't throw out my chicken broth. You shouldn't throw out yours either. I take my chicken broth and I save it so I can use it in my next dish. Now, if you don't have chicken broth, you can use store-bought chicken broth, or you can just use water. Your cabbage is still going to be good, even if you just use the plain water. So let's get started on how to cut this up. As I told you, I've already washed this cabbage. So I'm going to take, and it really doesn't matter how you cut your cabbage up because you can do it just any way that you choose to do it, but this is the way that I do it. Okay. So I'm going to take the part of the cabbage and I'm going to rough chop it. Now, I sliced that all the way over, and I'm just going to do 1 slice down the middle. So that's all I did was, and you got like this big hunk, but it's going to come loose. Now, if you don't want to use your core, you can take that core out. I don't have a problem with using it, so I'll just go ahead and use mine, and I'm going to show you again. These cabbages are big and they're awkward to cut. So with this one, I'll just slice down, and all you have to do is it doesn't matter how you cut up your cabbage. It doesn't matter what technique you use. Just make certain that you get it rough chopped. I wouldn't do it real tiny slices, not unless I was going to be doing egg rolls. Okay, so for this core, I'm going to cut around it by doing it this way. Now, these pieces are too big for me to just put in. If you want to put them in, you can. But for me, they're too big, so I just slice them down. And that's it. And that's all that I'm going to do to this cabbage, okay? So what I'll do if any of these are too big for me, like this one is a big piece, and I'll just take it and I'll slice it down. Because I saw a little bit of the core, I just went ahead and took that out. And for this one, I'll just slice around the core. Now you can, there's a different way to cut this that may be a lot easier for you, and that is you can take this, slice it into 4 parts, and then just take the core out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to cut up this, and once I get it cut up, then I'm going to meet you at the stove. Just wanted to come back and show you on this second cabbage, just in case you didn't understand what it was that I was saying. This is the whole cabbage, and I took the whole cabbage and I cut it into 4s. That way across, cut it into 4s. And there is a core right here. There is a hard part that you don't eat. Well, I don't eat it. And sometimes you can't get it out with your knife by trying to dig it out. Just go in there and cut it out. Okay? I cut it off the cabbage. I'll show you again. Part of that core is right there. So I just went in, curved my knife, and I took it out. Now, if you're cutting it up like I cut it up this the first time, that core won't even be visible because it's already gone. Okay, it's gone in the slicing of the cabbage. But for these, I just went ahead and made it easy by just taking it out. Guess I'll get it out. Okay, and I still have a little bit of it. So for that, I'll just go and cut it out. Now, once you get the core cut out of the cabbage, you can go ahead and slice it like you want to. The slicing, I mean, it just really doesn't make a difference on how you slice it up. You just don't want those big pieces. So think about, you know, people are going to be eating it, and you don't want them to be just taking a big hunk when they pick it up with their fork. So I'm going to continue to cut up this cabbage and get it prepared, and then when I come back, I will meet you. Okay, now we're at the stove and my pan is hot, so I'm going to put my bacon over into my pot that I'm going to be cooking my cabbage in. Now, the fat that's going to be rendered from putting the bacon in is what I'm going to use to saute my onions in. So we'll let that fry for a minute. I have to step away and get this child. We'll let that fry for a minute, but you see the fat that's coming off of the bacon. Now, you don't have to fry this bacon until it's crisp. That's not the intent. But as soon as you fry it up and you start to see that the fat starts to come off, then you can just flip it so that you can add your onions on top of the bacon. Now, I'm not going to put any more grease over into, or any more fat over into my pot. This is it. Now, I'm not trying to get my bacon crispy, so you see I'm really not trying to do that, or fry it like if you're going to eat it for breakfast, in other words. And if it don't want to flip, not going to worry about it. Just flip the ones that do want to flip. Now once I get that, then I'm going to add my onions to this. I'm just going to stir for a few minutes until it's all sautés up. So I'm going to give this like about 3 or 4 minutes just to saute up. And then when it sautés up, I'm going to come back. Okay, my onions have gotten limp and my bacon has gotten limp. So I'm going to take out, if you notice I didn't burn it and I didn't allow it to get translucent. I just sauteed it up so it'll be easier to disintegrate when it gets into my cabbage dish. While the cabbage is cooking, it'll be easy to disintegrate. Now I'm going to leave a piece of the bacon and some of the onions on the bottom, and I'm going to start to put in my cabbage. Okay, now I've put in some cabbage, and I'm going to put in some of the seasonal. I'm going to put in some more of the onions, and you notice I still haven't put any water in there. And you can hear it frying. And some more of the bacon. I'm going to continue to put my cabbage in. Okay. Now I'm going to add the rest of my onions and my bacon. I'm going to add my Lipton onion soup mix. I'm going to add some more than seasonal. And now I'm going to add my chicken broth. And right here, you can add either the chicken broth or you can add the water, or you can add chicken broth that you purchased in the store. Now you'll get that sizzle and it'll start to cook up. So that's all of my chicken broth. Now I'm going to cover my pot, and I'm going to allow this to cook 15 minutes before on medium heat before I even check it. When I get ready to check it, I'll get back. It does not take cabbage a very long time to cook, so this should be a relatively fast dish. I'll be right back. Now, as you can see, I haven't turned my cabbage. Just showing it for the first time. Now I'm going to turn it. And I'm going to let the cabbage that was on the top, now I'm going to let that cook. Okay, now I just wanted to show you when I got ready to turn it. And when I bring you back, the cabbage should be done. Alright, so I'll be right. Okay, now I'm back and the cabbage is finished, and that's what it looks like. And I have, as you can see, you don't see any trace of the onions because they've disintegrated. You do see little bits and pieces of the bacon, but that's how your cabbage should look. And I still have a little crunch left in the cabbage, which is what I like. I don't like it to be mushy and just totally soft. So there it is. Chris is making smothered cabbage.